that's what Trump was trying to do, was be, a negotiator. He wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, and he's known for diplomatic negotiations. But I think where we went wrong here in this scenario was not being on the same page before we
Mm,
started the negotiation. Like, you have to be willing to concede in some way, shape, or form. Like, both parties have to be willing to concede in order to create a good negotiating deal.
mm,
And so, you know, and I think going into that meeting, they knew that he wanted securities, and I don't think they were willing to give the securities, so the meeting probably shouldn't have happened, right? Two parties cannot negotiate when both parties aren't willing to negotiate. And so I just think that's where it went wrong. I also think that I personally think it was a sign of strength. Whether it was the meeting was held properly or not, I still think from America's perspective, it was a sign of strength to say, listen, we're not going to do this, and you're not going to come into the Oval Office, and you're not going to be disrespectful to the American people, and you are going to be grateful for what we've been able to do for your country. We are America first, not Ukraine first, and I think that's where we are, and people got to be okay with that. And if I mean, being a father and ex-military, you can see on my wall over here, my dad's in the military, 21 years. Um, we need to stand up for America. We need to put America first. And the truth is, at the end of the day, I don't think I would have kept my cool when he was like, America's going to feel this. People don't want to talk enough about that moment. And he's like, you may be safe here now, but you're going to feel this soon. And Trump was cool until that moment. Don't tell us how we're going to feel. Honestly, I saw my dad sitting there as a 21-year-old veteran going, don't threaten America. And that's pride of an American. And that's where I felt myself being proud again. I want to be an American was like, hey, listen, you can say we haven't done this and we could do that. And you could be somewhat rude. You could not wear a shirt and tie. You could come in here and I'm still going to welcome you in with hospitality. But the moment you go in my house, you're going to feel this, or you're going to get this, or you come to my house and do that, you're going to get the same response. Don't tell me what I'm going to feel. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, think that is, well, that's weakness. That's strength. It's strength to be reserved, sit there, let this thing play out. But then you get the feeling of threat
Yeah.
or, an insinuated threat, then you better stand up for what you believe in. And here's the other thing too, for everybody that's out there that's going, Ukraine first or whatever, like, here's what I'll say to you. Like, I have a 23-year-old son. If we give that man and that country access to NATO, my son's going to be fighting their war.
Mm,
I don't want my son fighting their war. I want peace within all this realm, right? My dad spent 4 years in Vietnam and he didn't want to spend 1 minute over there fighting a war. Most boys that are going to war don't want to be there. They're doing it out of respect and love and pride for their country. The same thing that burned in Trump's chest when he says, you're going to feel this.
yeah.
And I think that was a great moment of leadership to stand up and go, no, you're not going to dictate to us how we're going to.
Yeah, it was a wild interchange. I think it's just the business applications of it are just so rich. I mean, there's so many things you can just take from it, which is when it's time to stand up and like make a stand, leaders have to stand up and make a stand on both sides of it. You have to stand up and say, this is how this is going to go. The moment somebody wants to threaten the business, threaten the culture, threaten how we're going to do what we do, there's a big disconnect there. You feel it all the time when we work with businesses. You sit with them, and as soon as somebody says, well, I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go take your business, or I'm going to go do something else. You see the real leaders bow up a little bit and say, hold on a second here. I'm gracious. I'm kind. I mean, most of the clients we work with are just very gracious, kind business people, but you cross those lines and you see the CEO in them rise up and say, hold on a second here. You don't violate the core values. And the core values say, you don't come questioning the security of our business, our country, whatever the case might be. So I think there's so many lessons to be taken from it. To Gary's point, like the ability to go into a room and negotiate through problems, go through and position things properly to benefit you and your business are just they're very valuable. And I think those are the takeaways from a business perspective where we shouldn't ignore them for sure. Good topic.
It seems like a lot of companies either struggle with firing somebody or they're hesitant to bring people on because they don't want to have difficult conversations. It was jokingly mentioned last episode, like, hey, bring Gary in to fire people. So how does somebody navigate those conversations, have tough conversations, lead the company, but in a practical sense? Here's an employee we need to like have a conversation with, potentially even let them go, or hey, our company could grow, but we don't really want to have that type of conflict. How do we navigate that?
I mean, I think there's a really good tool we've put in place. I mean, it's something we put in Rise, which is succession planning, because it allows us to map out where the company is going and what the needs of the staffing are going to be, so that nobody feels that blindsided